What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel. Now today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different today, but not too different from our look at the competitive decks. Now what this is going to be is this is going to be looking at our new items that were introduced into this new generation. And this will be giving you some example sets of some of the most prominent users of these sets. And so I think this will be really cool for you if you're really looking for how to use these new items that were introduced. These are some really cool uses for them in singles. So if you like this kind of video, make sure you like and subscribe for more stuff. There's a lot of videos like this, as well as my competitive deck series where we work through every mon that is at least somewhat competitively viable. We show you how to use those and things of that nature. We've got a lot going on this channel right now. So anyway, we're going to start by looking at Throat Spray. Now what Throat Spray does is it raises the holder's special attack by 1 stage after it uses a sound move. So this is actually really neat. It basically allows you to have a choice specs without being choiced, and it's just activated by you using a sound move. And so there are actually quite a few prominent users of sound moves, and the first one that comes to mind is really Toxtricity. I mean, that's kind of its whole thing, because this, in combination with its punk rock ability, is really nice. Now we are going to be covering Toxtricity in a future episode of the competitive decks. He will be very soon, but until then, this is probably his most viable set right here in Boom Burst, Overdrive, Sludge Wave, and Volt Switch. So yeah, Throat Spray giving him +1, and hitting with Boom Burst and Overdrive, which is a sound-based electric type move. This thing is really powerful. So I really like this Throat Spray set. Yeah, he's just really strong. So the second set is going to be an absolutely crazy strong UU threat in Como-O. Now Como-O got a signature move in this generation that plays off of his old signature Z move. So what it does is now, instead of using a Z move, he loses 33% of his health, but he raises all of his stats by 1, just like he did with the old move. However, this is a sound move. Therefore, when you use Throat Spray on this set, you can go for Clangorous Soul, and it will boost all of your stats by 1, and then it'll boost your special attack again. So this is actually a really strong set. And now this is the set that was being run. I made this set right before Dynamax got banned. And so what this set basically did was you have Clanging Scales for stab, you have Poison Jab, which using Poison Jab while Dynamax would actually boost your special attack, and then Close Combat would actually boost your physical attack. So then Close Combat and Poison Jab were doing more. So it actually really helps. I talked about this briefly on my Ranbats with Matt set, and I'll link that video in the iCard above. But yeah, basically this just kind of ran through his team, and it was great. Another great user of it is going to be Sylveon. Now Sylveon uses an amazing move called Hyper Voice, and in conjunction with Pixelate, it turns it into a fairy type move, which then gives it stab, and it has +1 times 1.2 power, and it's already base 90. I mean, it hits really hard, and then it has +1 on everything else that it uses. So it makes this mon a very big threat, and normally this was a really good specs user. Now it no longer even needs to use specs, because now you can just change your moves as you want to, and yeah, and you're at +1. So it's a really cool set. Now these are some future sets. Now this is currently not released. Primarina is not released yet, and the Lapras set that I'm going to show you is not currently allowed, but it will be very soon. So these are two very cool abilities coming soon. Now, so Primarina will be coming to us sometime soon. I'm assuming sometime in 2020, and it gets the ability Liquid Voice. And so what it does is its sound type moves become water type, which is similar to Pixelate. However, you don't get the 1.2 times boost, which doesn't make it as good, but you still get stab on this. So Hyper Voice is hitting with stab and Throat Spray. So this was a great specs user back in Sun and Moon in the UU tier. And so I think that this will also fill that role really nicely in this generation. So the last one is going to be Lapras. Now, thanks to Primarina, Lapras will have access to Sparkling Aria this generation. And so this gives Lapras the ability to have throat spray. Now, I know that right now a lot of Laprases are actually, at least on the singles, at least on the battle spot ladder, are running a lot of, what is it called, weakness policy. But this gives you an alternative option if you want to run a special Lapras that can boost its stats right here by using Sparkling Aria, which is a sound type move. But so we're running a bulky set just because 60 speed isn't all that fast. But yeah, I think that this will be a really cool set in the future, but that is obviously once Primarina is released, and it will be an egg move that it can give to Lapras. Alright, so that's Throat Spray. So our next one is going to be Room Service. Now, Room Service is an interesting item that when I first saw it, I really thought that this item would be really busted strong, but it really isn't, to be honest. I don't think that it's insanely life-changing. However, I do think in certain situations, I think that this could be really, really strong. So one thing that we can look at here is, so what it does is when Trick Room is active, it lowers your speed by 1 stage. So it makes you slower, which is really nice. And so what I've done here is these numbers right here are at neutral speed. This is what you outspeed, what the base speed of the Mon needs to be, and you will outspeed or you will speed tie with this speed right here. So obviously we're running 0 and negative nature here, and this is, you can run this as an actual Trick Room user, which is really cool. And then I just gave it some arbitrary stuff to go with it. Encore, one thing about Encore is a lot better now than it used to be, just because with Dynamax allowed, you could just ignore Encore. But now you can use it, and it will actually lock your opponent into a move, so that's really nice. So Mimikyu struggles because, so it's base 96, which is already fast. However, I have seen it on Trick Room teams, and so it being speed tied with base 41s, there's not a whole lot that's slower than that. There are a few notable things, however, but if your opponent, at least in singles, isn't running things such as like Ferrothorn and that sort of thing, then this will actually be really, really nice for you as a Trick Room user. So yeah, you just need to eliminate Ferrothorn, and then this will kind of run through. It also gets access to Trick Room if you want to set it up yourself. You have it to set up for free with Disguise, but also you are getting rid of your ability to use what is it called? Swords Dance. Yeah. Now you could put Swords Dance instead of Shadow Sneak since you're going to be faster as a really slow mon, but that is up to you. It helps you beat out other priority. Now Caporaja is already really, really slow, so this may seem counterintuitive. However, one thing that is notable that is slower is going to be Hatterene, and Hatterene hits you really hard, and if Trick Room is set up, then that is going to be faster than you. So this actually is there just to help you work against Hatterenes. And so you would carry this even if it's not on a Trick Room team. This is a great anti-Trick Room mon. It would really help you to break through other opposing Trick Room teams. So something to think about. This is an alternative to Duraludon. And so like right now Duraludon is there with Stalwart, and it hits your opponent at least in doubles. It's really common to hit your opponent in doubles and to ignore the Follow Me that's coming out. Or you can switch this in and just take advantage of your opponent's Trick Room anyway. So this would be a little more common in doubles rather than singles, but it could work either way. So our last one is going to be Room Service Tyranitar. Now you wouldn't normally think of a Tyranitar being super slow, but it actually can be. And so I think with the proper Trick Room support, this could actually be a really dangerous threat, to be honest. It's very unconventional and would definitely take an opponent off guard. But I think it would be actually pretty crazy if you could pull this off on a Trick Room team. So who knows? I may have to try this out sometime in the future and try to show this off to see if it'll actually work on the ladder. But yeah, so that is going to be Room Service. Now the next one is going to be Eject Pack. Now I didn't do much as far as Eject Pack, just because I really don't think that this is amazing. I think it's very situationally good, but basically what it does is it allows you to get off a super strong hit and then you turn out, basically. So what it is if your stats are lowered, then you switch out. However, you then could be forced out, similar to like emergency exit, if your opponent lowers your stats. So if something comes in like Intimidate or anything similar to that, then it would actually automatically switch you out, which is kind of unfortunate. But so it works with things like Draco Meteor right here, with Close Combat and Superpower, just to name a few. And so this would help Mons to go ahead and get off a big hit and then get out of there, and you switch into something a little more appropriate. So I think it has its uses, but I do think it's very much more situational. So I'm not really going to talk too much about it because I really think that it is the weakest of the bunch. However, the strongest of the bunch, in my opinion, is Heavy Duty Boots. Now, Heavy Duty Boots, I'm sure that you have seen a lot of Mons come in on entry hazards and take no damage. That is Heavy Duty Boots at work. Now, the Heavy Duty Boots are actually extremely strong, and so it helps Mons that are weak to hazards otherwise be able to switch in and not have to take rocks damage. So certain things like Cinderace. Cinderace comes in holding these boots and then can court change all of those hazards that it would have taken damage from, or would have gotten slowed down by Sticky Web or whatever, and it switches them. And hey, you set up screens on your side of the field? Cool, give those to me. Court change does that too. It's insane. So Heavy Duty Boots is really nice. Plus, obviously, he takes a lot of damage from spikes, takes a lot of damage from rocks, and this helps things that are weak to rocks. Other things, Torkoal. Torkoal is your weather setter on your team. It is also your rapid spinner. So you really don't want to lose this. And so this is really nice, allowing you to switch in a lot more often in order to help you not only get off your drought, which is what's more important, but you can also get up rocks, you can spin, you can burn stuff. I mean, Torkoal is really good. It's your main. It's going to be your main Sunsetter in this generation. You also have Ninetales, but typically, honestly, I prefer Torkoal over it just because it also gets Rapid Spin and rocks. It gets a lot of utility, and its defense is super high at 140. So that's one thing that's really nice about this mod. Charizard. Obviously, Charizard is 4 times weak to rocks, so it's really, really nice for him to be able to switch in for free. And of course, there are other options. Hurricane is not as viable anymore just because of the Dynamax, just because of getting rid of Dynamax, but I do think that it is still viable. But Heavy Duty Boots does allow you to switch in for free on rocks, and you don't have to worry about taking any crazy damage. And this is just an example set if you were supported by something like Torkoal. And the last Heavy Duty Boots user that I'm going to mention, of course, there are a ton of these, but I'm going to mention Frostmoth. Now, Frostmoth is obviously, again, 4 times weak to rocks with Ice and Bug. This allows it to come in and Quiver Dance. It allows it to use its Ice Scales ability to double its special defense, which is already base 90, which is nice. So you just have to watch out for physical hits, and you're boosting your special attack and special defense with Quiver Dance. So this thing becomes really specially bulky after a couple Quiver Dances, and it's almost impossible to kill it if you let this get set up, if you don't have a physical attacker to take it out. Now, the last new item that we're going to look at is Blunder Policy. Now, you've seen me use Blunder Policy before, and we have looked at this specific set on the Dracozolt Competitive Dex episode. And so what this basically does is Hustle is an amazing ability most of the time that basically gives you a choice band boost, but lowers your accuracy to 0.8 times. However, with Blunder Policy, if you miss because of that 0.8 accuracy, you will raise your speed by 2 stages. So that, in conjunction with Bolt Beak, that is base 170 power when doubled if you go first, of course at +2 speed, yeah, this whole set just works really, really well together. And then you have Earthquake, Low Kick, and Outrage for coverage. Now, another mon that we have talked about on the channel that can use Blunder Policy is Flapple. Now, Flapple is a really fun mon, I think, and I do think that the Dragon Dance set is better, just given his attack. You know, you always want to be boosting your attack if you can, but base 110 attack is already pretty high, but his speed at 70 is really low. And so you run Hustle on this as well, and your Blunder Policy can activate if you miss a move. You're now multiplying the power of Acrobatics, which is really nice because you've consumed your item, as well as having Sucker Punch for coverage and for priority, and Grab Apple and Outrage. And the last one is a mon that not a whole lot of people talk about, but this mon is actually very good, and that is Durant. Now Durant also gets access to Hustle. It gets priority in First Impression, it gets Iron Head, it gets Stomping Tantrum, X Scissor, a bunch of really good moves that will obviously be affected by Hustle. So obviously these sets are only as good as lucky as you are on rolling 80% chances. But you know, you've always got a shot of hitting all those moves, and this gives you an amazing opportunity to just sweep through your opponent's team, especially with mons with just mass speed such as Flapple and Dracozolt. So that is going to be it for today's video in looking at the new items of this generation and how they're used. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, this is a slightly different video than what we normally do, but I think that it fits in very closely with our competitive deck series, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So make sure that you guys come back tomorrow for tomorrow's Christmas Eve, which is pretty crazy to imagine that Christmas has come up this soon. And I've got a really fun Christmas video planned for you that'll go up on Christmas Day. So I hope you guys stick around for that, and I hope you guys are ready for some more awesome videos. So anyway, guys, I will see you next time. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.